I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Madam President. We wish to thank Rosemary DiCarlo for the presentation of the report of the Secretary General on the Resolution 2231. We note the efforts of the permanent representative of Belgium as a facilitator of the Council for the implementation of the provisions of the resolution. We welcome the new head of the delegation of the European Union to the United Nations, although, to be frank, I've been accustomed to seeing him here on the other table. We share the Secretary General's position regarding the United States' withdrawal from the JCPOA and the reimposition of unilateral sanctions targeting Iran. This is at variance with the objectives set out both by the JCPOA and Resolution 2231, and this undermines Iran's ability to comply with the provisions of the above-mentioned documents. This report is a stark testament to the fact that Washington is violating its obligations under Resolution 2231, specifically operational paragraph 1, 2, and 7, as well as Article 25 of the United Nations Charter. We believe that such action not only are regrettable, but they also warrant censure by the international community. Effectively, we're encountering a paradoxical situation where a permanent member of the Security Council not only fails to comply with a resolution adopted inter alia under Chapter 7 of the Charter, but also is actively threatening to impose the sanctions against other member states for implementation of the provisions of Resolution 2231. For us, we fail to understand how it is possible to strengthen international peace and security while directly undermining a Council resolution. The sanctions truncheon as a blanket response to any concern not only fails, but it also spawns new crises. One cannot demand of Iran that it unstintingly comply with those Council resolutions with the U.S. itself is undermining. Iran has a legitimate right, this is enshrined in Para 36 of the JCPOA, legitimate right to response measures in connection with the United States' violation of the Charter of the United Nations and the Resolution 2231. Moreover, all of Iran's steps to draw down its voluntary obligations is carried out with the knowledge of the IAEA and with the oversight of inspectors of the agency without any violations of the provisions of the Non-Proliferation Treaty and the provisions of the Additional Protocol and the Safeguards Agreement. These are all reversible measures, provided there be a logical condition met, namely compliance with both the JCPOA and the United Nations Charter. Madam President, full-fledged operations of the procurement channel, as well as engagement with Iran on the use of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, is a key component for full compliance not only with the JCPOA, but also with the Resolution 2231 as such. We cannot allow a derail for such non-proliferation mechanisms. Such action will only be geared towards one end, to stoke tensions around our nuclear program, and as a consequence will further fuel tensions and crises in the Middle East. Madam President, today, we observe the way there are artificial stoking of tensions of a situation in the Persian Gulf. This jeopardizes peace and security both in the region, and it undermines international efforts to resolve conflicts. The evidence provided, so-called evidence provided about culpability of Iran is not persuasive, and it is not corroborated in the Secretary General's report. There is an alternative to escalation. There's a need to strengthen mutual trust in the region. Let us recall the following. In Resolution 598, dating 1988, the Security Council called upon the Secretary General to develop, together with regional parties, to develop security and stability strengthening measures in the region. Today, more than ever before, there is a need to work to that end. Russia stands ready to facilitate this in contact with our regional partners and all stakeholders. The end goal needs to be the establishment of a genuinely inclusive security architecture, which reflects the legitimate concerns of all countries in the region. What remains relevant is our blueprint for strengthening security in the Persian Gulf under international safeguards, and this could begin to be implemented with the conduct of a conference attended by states of the subregion with a view to broadening it to include other Middle East countries. Tehran, for its part, has provided its own initiative to strengthen regional peace and security. Madam President, we note with regret that the report is plagued by a chronic lack of evidence in those sections pertaining to the Iranian missile program, alleged deliveries of weapons from Iran, alleged violations by Tehran with the provisions of Resolution 2231 about the assets freeze and the travel ban for certain individuals. Oh, there's a persistent problem. I refer to the representatives of the Secretariat taking upon themselves, with neither the relevant authority nor the relevant mandate. A question is as follows. If the Secretariat cannot assert that violations of Resolution 2231 took place, then why are these themes constantly included in the report? Madam President, the only practical step that could be undertaken to salvage the JCPOA is compliance by the remaining parties, the signatories, with their obligations. There is a need to set fear aside, to abandon egotistical considerations, to prioritize the objective of maintaining viability of the JCPOA, the crowning achievement of multilateral diplomacy. We believe that constantly raising the stakes and speculation as to who stands to gain the most from the plan only stoke extreme sentiment. We cannot allow political pressure, economic asphyxiation, and military pressure, blackmail to prevail. To conclude, I wish to stress the following. The Russian Federation remains committed to full compliance with the provisions of the Resolution 2231 and the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. We join the call in the report for the Secretary General from the Secretary General to avoid provocation. This adversely impacted on regional stability. We shall continue to seek to engage in dialogue to arrive at compromise and a balance of interest. This is the only way. Only coordinated collective action can help to generate the necessary momentum in today's events. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.